What's up with y'all chosen ones, I'm checking in with y'all family. Just hoping y'all straight, man. Don't lose yourself out here, man. If you lose yourself, well then you're not gonna resonate with a chosen one anymore because we originally feel each other through frequency. Through vibration, y'all, we grow stronger. That's why they keep everybody vibrating low, because once everybody gets on that same frequency, y'all become a threat, Y'all become truly something that no one else can tame, because once you vibe higher, nobody can lower your frequency unless you choose to yourself, family. So you gotta have a consciousness to be aware of this. But just look at everything that's going on in your life right now, family, and study that and ask yourself, what do I need to learn from the situation? Most people, y'all, for example, they live on the phone. They can't even put this phone down for a couple hours because they need social media. They need to scroll. They need to feel like something is going to entertain them. But the only reason you feel that way is because you're anxious when you truly are alone, y'all. If you can't be without a phone, y'all, you can't be with yourself, y'all. And if you can't figure out why that is, you gotta really start questioning yourself and asking yourself, what the fuck am I doing with my life, Life, y'all, is meant for you to find yourself. It's not meant for you to stay lost forever. The people who don't wake up, y'all, they were never meant to. So they're only here to hold us back, because when you were asleep, y'all, you were living with the rest of them. But once you started to elevate and climb higher on ascension, you can't take them with you, y'all. It's like you left them behind. We're leaving everybody behind that we once loved, no matter who they are, because they live on this fleshly aspect of this world, y'all. Sad to say that, but you can't help them, y'all, if they don't want to live through spirit, Spirit is how you enter the Christ consciousness, y'all, because you start doing things that's gonna help you and remind you how to get back to your organic state. That's self right there in control, When you live through the ego, y'all, you want problems. You want to consume things that are gonna harm you, because when you put that shit in your body, y'all, the ego is able to live through you, The ego, it doesn't want to be wrong, y'all. And that's why it lives before the spirit, because though you have a spirit, you don't like to show that side of you because you feel vulnerable. That means you're afraid to be yourself in front of others, That's because, y'all, society has dimmed your light, y'all, and you're afraid to be yourself, man. If I would have stayed stuck in my root chakra, y'all, and I would have never ascended onto this self-growth journey, y'all, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all today, y'all. So I thank the Most High that He has chosen me to get this message out and document it every day, because I'm here, I'm not away from this world yet. So I'm gonna post every single time I can that I have the breath, because I'm here to help my brothers and sisters remind themselves of how powerful they truly are. You lose your power, y'all, when you start trying to believe that others can help you, or remind you of what you're here to do. Nobody knows what the fuck you're here to do. That's why you can't ask nobody for advice. You can ask them for advice on this life shit, but for where you're going, yo, they ain't gonna get it because they ain't walking in your steps, So the only thing I can tell you, family, is to listen to your brothers and sisters, man. The chosen ones, your soul tribe, the ones that have been through the fire and are trying to help you walk in the light, because a lot of people ain't gonna favor you walking in that light, y'all. You can already see everybody's trying to dim it. Why are they trying to dim it, family? Because they can't sustain themselves in your presence, yo. And if they can't take being around you, they're gonna try to eliminate you or try to remove themselves away from you, because you are looked at as a threat. Not because you're a dangerous individual, but because you chose to live through your spirit instead of hiding yourself from the world, Hey, that says a lot about your character, family. Especially for the people who choose to live through their true self, y'all. That's when downloads hit you. That's when you start realizing that you're one in a million out here, y'all. Because you could be surrounded by 100,000 motherfuckers in your city, and not one of them are going to be on the timing you're on, because everybody's comfortable, man. You know, comfortable, it gives you safety. So I can see your point of view if you are into comfortability, you know. But for the chosen ones, y'all, comfortability, y'all, it's a drug. It's worse than any drug in the world, y'all. You know, because all that potential you have, you're letting it lie dormant. But I remind y'all, family, that you truly hold weight in your words. That's why it is important to keep your energy within you, y'all. You know, for anybody who's going through it right now, y'all, just say, you know, people will disrespect you, they ignore you, or you just don't get the respect that you feel like you deserve. Celibacy is the only thing that's gonna give you everything you want, because if you're not getting respect outside of you, y'all, something's not right within. If you have peace within, y'all, that's all you will get externally. And if the beings you are around are vibrating on that level, well, they ain't gonna be able to be around you, because remember, you are giving peace to the world. The universe is not gonna put people in front of you that can't give you that same frequency back. That's exactly why you are what you attract, family. That's exactly why you can't date a female who's fucking low vibrational, or all they want to do is talk about how they the shit, or they just want to, you know, go party and shit every day, y'all. That shit does not fit your category. You know, you don't party, y'all. You're a scientist. All you like to do is study you and the reality around you, so no one can say that they have one up on you. You know, everybody else, y'all, they live physically, y'all. They live in the ego, so they like to entertain themselves, because they're not thinking on things that are, let's just say, for example, y'all, most people, they live like the game Pac-Man. Pac-Man, it represents those fucking, you know, animated avatars, y'all, that are flying on the screen, y'all. All they do is go up and down, or they slide side to side, right? But they're being attacked by the enemy. The enemy is literally the ones that are draining you of your energy, that are on your frequency, because you don't look at them like the enemy, y'all, because you're the enemy, because you're happy with where you are. That's stagnation. But I remind you that in Pac-Man, y'all, the character never looks up, signifying that he never looks up at the sky. You know why that is? Because you're not fully aware of the world, you know. Even if you know it's not right, you should still take a look at this world and try to figure out what the fuck can I do to help it, you know. The energy is rising, y'all, because chosen ones are stepping in authenticity. And since we're pouring out this energy into the ethers, y'all, it has no other choice but to scatter around. You know, energy is not just gonna stay in one spot, y'all. It's gonna flow throughout the whole world until they try to get it out of you, or they try to stop you and get in front of you or block you. Because a person who is a high vibration, y'all, I repeat this, he will always stay at a high vibration until, or should I say, when he realizes that those attacks, y'all, it's nothing to him. That's when you become unfazed, y'all. You know, there's literally levels to this shit, y'all, because yes, you can be high vibrational, but you can also get heavily attacked out here, and you can fall for that. But there's people out here who vibe so high, y'all, and are so strong mentally that those attacks don't face them, because they already been through too much, you know. The game is not to be a millionaire, y'all. You know, everybody wanted to be a millionaire when we were younger. You know, I wanted to be a millionaire when I was younger, y'all. But what's better than that is knowing that you have that millionaire energy, that millionaire status, because a lot of people are gonna want to be around you. They're gonna want to talk to you. But for the fact that you don't want to be around them, it's not through, you know, hate or through any kind of emotion. It's just, if their energy is low, you feel that shit whenever you are around them. You feel all those anxieties and all those fucking, you know, parasitic invaders that live among them. You know, you feel that low energy, y'all, and that's why you don't like being around them. You don't have nothing against them. It's just you read people off of vibration once you are on that frequency yourself, because you realize that everybody's on different paces within themselves, y'all. There's some people in this world, y'all. Majority of these people around you don't go within ever. So how do you think they feel, y'all? You don't know how they feel because you haven't been without in so long. But I guarantee you, if you go 1 or 2 weeks without meditating, you will eventually start falling back into sin, or you might, start chasing these, these dirty ass women and shit like that. Or you may just start, losing yourself, falling into temptation, going back to, drugs. You don't want to do that, y'all, because now that the Most High has gave you that key, y'all, now you know what truly is. And that's why you must take care of yourself once you put those glasses on. Nobody has ever went back once they woken up fully, y'all, because there's nothing for you back there, Only thing that is for you is, pain, suffering, fear, and just stagnation, y'all. But a golden child, y'all, or a real chosen one, all they want is growth and development, No matter who watches you, everything is a stage. You are living in the Truman Show, y'all. So why are you worried about who's watching you? You gotta make everybody happy, or make them show their true colors. Because then again, it has nothing to do with me. Everything that I'm doing has everything to do with how I view myself internally, y'all. That's why you must focus on the war. World War III, y'all. The shit that they're showing you, y'all, is to keep you in fear, hoping that you think that it doesn't happen to you, And that's how they feed off of your energy, y'all. Because if they can get you to buy into that shit, y'all, well then you are another soul that they have extracted energy from, y'all. That's why I say, y'all, if you have fell for this, don't take it personal, y'all. It comes to having a certain point of energy within you to where you become too aware. So for someone that doesn't understand what I'm talking about, that's because I have so much energy within me, yo. My Kundalini is fully awakened. I am tapped in to that higher dimension within me. So while you live physically, you are going out and seeing life physically for what it is. I already see things energetically first, spiritually, because I'm living through my higher chakras, yo. And I'm protected. And I don't need to get drunk or feel high every day to rely on this. All I needed was the energy that God has put within me, y'all, and a little bit of patience. Because whether you say meditation is good or bad, you will eventually start meditating once you rise and have higher energies, because you're going to realize that I feel so good without doing anything. How can I feel better? That's when you find out that transmutation is the only thing that's going to aid you. You transmute that energy so it rises, right, family? And when it rises, you live better. You get better ideas. You want to help the world. You start living through purpose like myself, y'all. And that's why, I've been doing this YouTube shit for years, This is truly my way out of freedom, y'all, because I'm not rushing nothing. I'm happy where I am, Even though I work jobs, y'all, I'm still financially, if you want to say abundant, because I got the car I always wanted, and I'm making the money, and I'm not broke. So I could never hate my reality, family. Yes, nobody likes working, but then again, if you don't like to get up and do anything like work out or go on a jog or go do something or go explore, well then you're fucking lazy. So if you don't like working, it's all about your mental, and it's about how you think about life, y'all. It's not that you don't like working, it's just that you are living in that hell. You gotta rise up in frequency to feel good. So even when you are working, you still feel good within. You know that this shit isn't worth it. When you work, y'all, you look at it like you feel like you are dying, but that's only because how you treat yourself within. If you are truly living with abundance within, y'all, you're not gonna care because you feel good without, y'all. So all you care about is showing yourself to the world, That's why there's no problem with working for me, y'all, because I know that everything is gonna fall into place. Working ain't gonna be forever, y'all. So appreciate it while you have that, because AI's taking over everything, y'all. AI is trying to mock your consciousness, because that's how much they envy us, y'all. Literally, yo, demons are the ones on that fucking dollar bill, y'all. And I'm gonna break it down later, but that's another video for another time. Just know that these, reptilian-like spirits, y'all, or these demonic forces, people like to call them jinns. Yes, they are jinns as well, because a jinn is a person who's trying to offer you something for something. But you're never supposed to go to anything that's physical, y'all. We answer to the spirit. We answer to the Most High. We answer to the Creator who put that light within us, y'all. You're never supposed to go to anybody physical. Fuck no. Because you're sacrificing your power into somebody else who can get power like you. Use your mind, family, because it's going to help you in the long run. But I remind you, once you stay strong within, it will happen without. But I'll see y'all, family. Ashe.